Good morning and welcome to today's special report. I am April Kabatingan.
And I'm Gwendy.
And we have breaking news with regards to Shanghai, China. From the head of the burning news, the bustling metropolis has just announced a groundbreaking decision to cap its population at 25 million. But what does this mean for the city, its residents, and the rest of the world? Join me as we delve into the details of this landmark development and explore its implications for urban planning, sustainability, and global population dynamics. Stay tuned for an in-depth analysis and expert insights on this pivotal decision. Rohan?
Yes, April, Shanghai is limiting its population to 25 million people. It is important to acknowledge the negative impacts that excessive population growth has on the city's infrastructure and environment. High population density exacerbates environmental pollution, which puts citizens' health in serious danger and jeopardizes the city's sustainability initiatives. Furthermore, overcrowding-related traffic congestion puts strains on transportation, infrastructure, and lowers mobility generally. When demand outpaces the availability of buildings and resources, public services like healthcare and education frequently see a decline. Shanghai wants to make its urban environment more resilient and livable for its citizens by tackling these issues. Here is Jewel Bardan to discuss further.
Shanghai's population cap directly tackles the complex issue related to overcrowding. The excessive urbanization and industrial activities leading to environmental degradation puts the city's ecosystem and natural resources at risk. A constantly growing population puts strain on an already stretched infrastructure, which includes utilities and transportation networks, causing inefficiency and service interruptions. Additionally, when demand beats supply, the quality of public services like healthcare and education declines, endangering the opportunities and well-being of locals. Shanghai aims to reduce these pressures and promote sustainable development through restricting population growth. Back to you, Gwen.
Now, let's hear from Kim Estacio. Kim, is China's way of limiting people in the city and the land made available for development reasonable?
Well, China takes a practical approach to controlling population expansion and managing land development, while also taking social and environmental concerns into account. Although limiting the amount of land available and imposing population limits are useful strategies for controlling urban expansion and protecting the environment, there are valid concerns about the social effects of these policies. The uprooting of low-income inhabitants as a result of the demolition of affordable housing highlights the necessities of fair urban planning regulations that place a high value on social inclusion and accessible housing. Despite these obstacles, China's initiatives show a dedication to sustainable urban development and a proactive reaction to the complex dynamics of urbanization. Back to you, April.
Thank you, Kim. Another question that needs to be addressed is what is the implication of the news from Shanghai, China to the global population? Let's hear it from reporter Aguilar, live.
Shanghai's population cap's impact on the world's population highlights the same issues that rapidly expanding urban areas face worldwide. Shanghai's actions provide a useful case study in using urban planning and population management to handle problems like pollution, traffic, and overburdened public services as cities struggle with these difficulties. Cities may improve their resilience and sustainability by taking proactive measures to control population growth and lessen environmental effects. By doing so, they can set an example for urban development around the world. Back to you, April.
Thank you, Aguilar. Now, hearing all of that, you may wonder and question, can we also do the same thing here in the Philippines? Similar policies may be implemented in the Philippines, but doing so will require a thorough strategy that takes into consideration the nation's particular socio-economic and geographic circumstances. While urban planning and population control methods have the potential to solve issues like traffic congestion and environmental degradation, their effectiveness depends on unique approaches that take the requirements of the community and the local context into account. The Philippines can create sustainable urban development plans that encourage equitable growth and improve everyone's quality of life by drawing on the lessons learned from Shanghai's experience. As we wrap up our in-depth analysis on Shanghai's population cap and China's urban development strategies, it's clear that their plans and actions impact global cities, emphasizing sustainability and equity in urbanization.
Up next, a major phenomenon in human history, the demographic shift has changed societies all across the world. It marks the transition from high to low rates of death and fertility, which has a profound impact on social standards, economic systems, and demographic dynamics. The various aspects of the demographic shifts are explained in this paper entitled The Demographic Transition: 3 Centuries of Fundamental Change by Ronald Lee, including patterns of population increase, changes in fertility, decreases in mortality, and resulting changes in society. Earlier this week, we had the opportunity to sit down with Ronald Lee to discuss the various aspects of demographic shifts and changes. Now, let's listen in to our recorded interview with him as he delves into the intricate details of this important topic.
Because of the improvements in cleanliness and medicine, the demographic transition which started Northwest Europe around 1800s signifies significant changes in death rates. The smallpox vaccination and other advancements in sanitation standards are created, with contributing to the notable decline in death rates during this time. Then came the fertility transition, which was marked by appalled married fertility rates in all of the European provinces between 1890s and 1920s. Economic considerations were a major influence on couples' reproductive decisions during these times, along with technological breakthrough and increased salaries. Population growth patterns have shown significant variance worldwide. However, current trends suggest that fertility and mortality rates are converging, even in the face of difference in GDP per capita. These changes in the populations have significant impact on society, altering economic paradigm, family patterns, and health dynamic. Notable effects of the demographic shift include the aging populations, falling birth rates, and designifications of intergenerational kind of networks. In the light of these demographic shifts, nations today have the problems of modifying their policies and strategies to meet the changing requirements of their populations. In the face of changing populations dynamics, comprehensive methods are required to promote resilience and sustainability in everything from the delivery of healthcare to social welfare programs and economic planning.
As we conclude our comprehensive analysis of mortality declines, fertility transitions, and population growth patterns, it's evident that the demographic transition has reshaped societies worldwide. From advancement in healthcare to shifts in family structures, these changes have far-reaching implications for global populations. As we navigate the complexities of urbanization and aging demographics, proactive policies and innovative solutions will be essential to ensure sustainable and inclusive developmental for future generations. It is imperative that governments, communities, and individuals alike collaborate to address the challenges and seize the opportunities presented by these demographic shifts. By working together, we can build a brighter and more equitable future for all.
Thank you for joining us for today's news report. From Shanghai's population cap to global demographic trends, we delve into the pressing issues shaping our world.
From Minute Earth. India and China together are home to over 2.7 billion people. That's as many humans as in the next 20 most populous countries combined, or in the whole other 170 countries in the world. Over the last 300 years, India and China each added more than 1 billion people to their populations, way more than any other country. But they have actually been growing at about the same rate as the rest of the world. They have a lot more people today because they had a lot more people a few hundred years ago when the world began its period of modern and rapid population growth. It's like comparing a big bank account and a small one. If they both grow at about the same rate over many years, the big one gains a lot more money simply because it started with more. So the billion-dollar or billion-person question is, why did India and China have so many people when they started their rapid growth? We can't know for sure since so many variables factor into long-term population dynamics. But the two most plausible explanations are food and area. Having lots of fertile land and good access to fresh water makes it possible to grow lots of food, which in turn makes it possible to nourish a lot of people. Even today, the 10 most populated countries in the world all have a relatively large amount of farmland. And Asia, and in particular South and East Asia, has tons of farmland, lots of river valleys, and the ability to grow food year-round. Plus, domestication of plants and animals essentially started in Asia, giving populations an early leg, or wing, up. As such, Asia's been the most densely populated region of the world for a really long time. Area matters too. Countries like Pakistan and Bangladesh may be filled with farms and densely populated, but because they're smaller in area than India and China, they simply cannot contain as many people. Of course, a few other things happened in India and China in the last few thousand years. Some of them helped the populations grow, and some of them shrank the populations. But through it all, the large and fertile lands of India and China were able to sustain lots of people, such that when the era of modern population growth came around, they had a head start. Or rather, 100 million head start. This video was sponsored.
About 385,000 babies are born each day, according to the United Nations, and for the first time, most of them are born in India. In the second half of April 2023, the UN predicts India will become the most populous country in the world, surpassing China. India currently has over 1.4 billion residents. To put that into context, all of the countries on Earth hold an estimated 8 billion people. About 17.5% of the world's population will reside in India. This population boom is met with caution by some. Prime Minister Narendra Modi said in 2020, there is need of social awareness. Modi said people who have a small family express their patriotism to the country. India is expected to have an economic boom as well as a baby boom. According to Morgan Stanley, India is on track to become the world's third largest economy by 2027. It is also believed India will have the third largest stock market by the end of this decade. Their population is quite young. In fact, more than 40% of India's residents are under the age of 25, according to Pew Research Center. People over the age of 65 only make up about 7%. This growth in population signals societal and economic changes in India and the world that will be seen for decades to come. For Inside Edition Digital,
As we wrap up, remember to stay informed and engaged with the latest news updates. Join us next time for more in-depth coverage and analysis. Until then, stay safe and take care. This is Gwen Dig,
And this is April Cabatingan.
wishing you a great day ahead.